I watched every Alex Garland film. From The Beach to 28 years later, Garland's filmmaking career has taken many forms. His journey tells a story about control, collaboration, and what happens when an artist finally makes something completely their own. Before we rank Garland's 11 films, we need to take a trip to the Philippines. Before Garland became famous for his mind-bending sci-fi films, he was a backpacker meandering through Southeast Asia.
My whole life sort of revolved around backpacking for many years, really.
Some people dream of becoming an author or a filmmaker, but Garland had no such plans.
So I did that for a long time and was sort of accumulating stories, I suppose. The stories just coalesced into fiction and a book, a novel.
The next thing I knew, I was a novelist. The first novel I had published was called The Beach.
By the time he was 29, The Beach had sold 700,000 copies. Not bad for a first go.
I was just struggling trying to figure out how to write a book. I was picking books off the shelves going, oh right, that's how you do dialogue.
The success of The Beach caught the attention of a certain filmmaker named Danny Boyle. Pretty soon, Leonardo DiCaprio was starring in the first film treatment of Garland's source material.
Based on a best-selling novel, the movie was shot in what may be one of the most dazzling locations ever captured on film.
He's like a backpacker and he's traveling on his own in Thailand and wants to get some sort of real tangible experience in life.
Working with Boyle to adapt his first novel marked the beginning of the duo's long-standing cinematic collaboration. In the wake of The Beach's success, both novel and film, Garland was inspired to write his very first screenplay. It was a little idea about zombies.
I pitched an idea which was about running zombies in London. That was it. And there wasn't a story beyond it. I knew nothing about script writing at that point.
So I said, can you send me a screenplay so I know what one looks like? And then on a sort of early version of Word, I spent ages trying to copy what a script looked like on a program that was not designed to write scripts.
The thing that attracted me about it originally was literally like the first page.
You think I don't get it, but I do get it.
Boyle loved it, and the two went on to create the post-apocalyptic zombie contagion film 28 Days Later.
It's a gripper, you know, if you get caught in the headlight of it, if you buy into it, then you just stay there frozen for 90 minutes, and then you manage to slip away at the end and you're okay.
Grossing almost $83 million on a budget of just $8 million, it became one of the most profitable horror films of 2002. His transition from author to screenwriter was well underway, but Garland didn't draw distinct boundaries between these writing mediums.
People differentiate between novel writing and screenwriting. I don't. The compulsions are absolutely identical when you begin in the same place, which is a blank page.
Major studios began to take notice of his writing sensibilities, and in 2005, Microsoft signed $1 million check with Garland's name on it. His job? Write the script for a film adaptation of Halo. From the start, Halo's production was plagued with complications, in what became a catastrophic case of production hell. In 2006, the project was cancelled. But the time was not wasted. During Halo's slow crash and burn, Garland was working on a sci-fi script of his own. And who else would he show it to than Danny Boyle? After 3 years and 35 drafts, the sci-fi thriller Sunshine was released in 2007. Despite its great cast and positive reception, the film was a complete financial failure.
It's kind of a weird film. I can see that in retrospect. At the time, it all seemed perfectly reasonable, but looking back on it, I can see it's quite odd.
While Garland and Boyle were occupied with Sunshine, 28 weeks later was greenlit. Both men signed on as executive producers, hiring an outside writer and director to make the film in their stead, a decision that ultimately doomed the film to be the worst of the franchise. It was no longer a personal project. Around this time, Garland read a book by British author and friend Kazuo Ishiguro, titled Never Let Me Go. He immediately set to work writing a screenplay.
What I was doing was adapting the work of a much, much more sophisticated writer.
I thought very, very consciously, I need to up my game. I need to make a decision. Do you want to try to be good or not? Are you going to get serious about the craft or not? So I thought I will get serious about it.
His sci-fi sensibilities were perfectly suited to the source material, and Ishiguro gave him the rights. Never Let Me Go released in 2010 and introduced Garland to an actor by the name of Domhnall Gleeson, who would later play a pivotal role in his 2014 debut. But before work on that film could begin, Garland was met with one of the most impossible, unorthodox film productions in his career. That film was the 2012 dystopian action thriller, Dread.
That film was a very, very, very challenging, difficult movie to make in what felt like limitless ways at the time. And I got rabid about it.
Officially, it was written and co-produced by Garland, but unofficially, this is the first film where he donned the role of director.
I ended up on some films essentially doing ghost directing.
It didn't take long for the competing visions for the film to become problematic.
I walked off the film actually for a few months because I was so angry about some of the things that were being done.
During shooting, lead actor Karl Urban deferred to Garland for direction over Travis, and in editing, the director was removed from the team altogether. When Garland took over the editing process, his contribution to the film became significant enough to be credited as co-director, but he opted not to do so.
After the experience of making Dread, what I said is I am not doing that again. Just let me do that job.
In 2014, Garland was propelled into the limelight with the release of Ex Machina. As both writer and director, Garland had complete creative control from inception to completion for the first time in his career.
Slightly misleading. I almost think if you know about filmmaking, it's almost clearly not the first bit of directing.
Immediately following the release of his directorial debut, Garland wrote and directed another sci-fi film, Annihilation, adapted from the 2014 novel of the same name.
What I proposed was, privately to myself, I'm not going to reread this book, I'm never going to look at it again, because the act of reading the book is like a dream. So I'm going to do an adaptation of my memory of this book.
Garland was given creative liberty to take the story in his own direction, and after 4 years of production, Annihilation released in 2018. Between feature film releases, Garland wrote, directed, and produced a sci-fi thriller series called Devs, an 8-episode miniseries that explores cause and effect determinism. Then came Garland's second film for A24, Men, which he wrote and directed. After which, the stars finally aligned on a project that had been collecting dust for 17 years, 28 years later. With Garland, Boyle, and lead actor Cillian Murphy all expressing serious interest in bringing the third film to life, 28 years later entered development.
The rights reverted back to us, and that puts you in a very different position, because then what Alex did was come up with this much bigger idea than anybody was ever imagining.
It was the first in a new trilogy of sequels, all to be written by Garland. By the time you're watching this, the second installment, The Bone Temple, will already be released, but I'm not going to be including it in this video. In the midst of overlapping projects, Garland's next A24 film, Civil War, was released. Beginning production just a few days after Men, Garland's director fatigue was beginning to set in.
I'm thinking I'm going to stop directing for a while. I've done a bunch of stuff back to back, and I need a indeterminate break.
On Civil War, Garland worked with military supervisor and Iraq War veteran Ray Mendoza. This relationship soon led to the inception of his next film, Warfare.
Probably about halfway through, we started talking about this film that Ray wanted to make.
As co-director, Garland focused on the technical side to help Mendoza replicate his lived experience as accurately as possible. Garland has worn many hats in the filmmaking process, working as author, screenwriter, director, or multiple at once. This speaks to his versatility, but makes it hard to define what a Garland film really is. As I learned more about his process, I realized that the lines separating writer and director were quite blurred.
I arrived not believing in auteur theory. Auteur theory basically says the director is the author. But I was thinking, well, not really, because you didn't come up with the themes or the characters or what the characters are saying or why they're saying it.
So yes, it's collaborative, but it often isn't presented that way. And film does that with directors. It all sort of focuses attention on the director at the expense of all the people that are really making the film.
Garland remains in the loop all the way through editing in a flowing, collaborative effort to transform a script into a finished film. That team environment is why he left novel writing.
Film sets are collegiate, they're groups of people working together. And you write a book on your own. I thought, no, this is what I want to do.
In this video, I'll be ranking the 11 films written and or directed by Alex Garland, beginning with number 11, Men. Let's just get this out of the way, then we can have a good time for the rest of the video. Men is by far the worst movie Alex Garland has made. It's not even close. The movie follows a woman named Harper as she seeks solace and comfort in the English countryside after the tragic death of her husband. The tranquility is short-lived, however, as the hostile memories splinter through her thoughts. Eventually, she realizes that her thoughts aren't the only thing haunting her in this increasingly unsettling, misogynistic town. The messaging of this film is very heavy-handed. almost to the point of feeling like a ridiculous parody, exaggerating the contemptible nature of men from the female perspective to a revolting extreme.
Men do strike women, sometimes. It's not nice, but it's not a capital offense.
What?
Garland has proven on more than one occasion that he can handle the topic of female victimization with more nuance than this. I don't know how he managed to regress this far.
Someone tried to break in.
Was it that bloody man?
On top of that, the film reaches levels of disturbing that rival Nicholas Winding Refn's Neon Demon. Though I don't say that as a compliment, it could be for some of you. To its credit, the horror of this film is genuinely terrifying. It's not the style of film that I would gravitate to nor recommend, but I can't deny that it accomplishes what Garland set out to do, and visually, it is gorgeous. I'm not really sure who this film is for, so if you enjoyed it, let me know why in the comments. Number 10. The Beach. Already, I know that the die-hard fans of Garland's work will be outraged that I've ranked this film so low. But first, let me say that The Beach barely even made it onto the list. Garland didn't write the screenplay, he didn't direct it, and he was never on site during production. But for how influential the source material was in igniting his career, I decided to include it. The best thing The Beach has going for it is atmosphere. The feeling of 2000s nostalgia created by the music, editing, and visual effects is very strong.
I just feel like everyone tries to do something different, but you always wind up doing the same damn thing.
Paired with young DiCaprio's performance as Richard, searching for an escape from the mundanity of his life, the film has a real magic that could never be recreated today.
Richard, would you like to come to the beach with me?
Sure, yeah.
The film explores the pursuit of paradise, and the lengths people will go to retain it once reached. Richard, Francoise, and Etienne set off on the adventure of their lives to find their own slice of tropical heaven. But in time, they come to learn that even the most perfect beach, this blissful life secluded from the world's depravity, has evils of its own to conceal. Every utopia has a tipping point. The film has a lot to say about the world we live in, emphasizing how everyone seeks escape, only to encounter or recreate the same flaws in their new paradise. It's hard to really dislike a film that's this much fun. It gets pretty strange in the second half, but I admire Boyle's lack of restraint. Ultimately, with Garland's loose involvement, I don't really view this as his film, but I do plan on reading the book as soon as I can. Number 9. Never Let Me Go. Never Let Me Go is a film I've been putting off watching for years. It has an incredible cast of some of my favorite actors and a compelling premise combining dystopian elements with coming-of-age romantic drama.
Maybe none of us really understand what we've lived through, or feel we've had enough time.
Filmed in bleak swaths of beige and gray, the film follows 3 kids into adulthood as they cope with the inevitable completion of their lives.
We all complete.
In this dystopian alternative England, children are cloned and raised for the sole purpose of harvesting and donating their healthy organs. The term donate is really much too forgiving, as these donors have no say in the matter. After 1, 2, or perhaps 3 donations, their lives will complete.
I wanted to do this trip because I had something that I wanted to give you.
This heartrending story asks if there's any difference between these clones born to suffer and die and those for whom they exist to save. This film struck me as sufficiently earnest and thought-provoking, made great by the performances of Carey Mulligan, Andrew Garfield, and Keira Knightley.
Sorry, can we stop for a second? I need to get out.
But it wasn't perfect. Even with the excellent cinematography, I found much of the film to be visually bland and uninteresting. Additionally, I feel that there were many loose threads and questionable choices, which I'm sure are expanded on thoroughly in the book. I was kept at a frustrating emotional distance the whole time, and I wish I could have been pulled all the way in. It's still a great Garland script, but not my favorite execution by director Mark Romanek. Number 8. Dread.
Correct.
If there's anything I love, it's a good dystopian sci-fi film, and Dread is one of the most unique examples of that. The film follows Judge Dredd, the physical manifestation of the law who never removes his mask, in a particularly eventful 24 hours of his life. Joined by a mutant recruit named Cassandra, the duo quickly find themselves in over their heads.
Chuck her in the deep end.
It's all a deep end.
The Mama gang has taken complete control over the slum tower block known as Peach Trees. The gang runs an unchecked operation of the drug Slow-Mo, and use extreme violence to instill fear in the ordinaries. When the judges detain one of Mama's henchmen, Kay, she seals the tower block and orders their execution.
This is Mama.
Somewhere in this block are 2 judges. I want him dead.
Cinematographer Anthony Dodd Mantle described his vision for the film as a cross between Blade Runner and A Clockwork Orange. I'd say he accomplished that vision. The massive towers housing the equivalent of a city feel reminiscent of Joe's apartment in Blade Runner 2049, and the graphic, hyper-stylized violence contributes to a gripping experience a lot like a comic book. The editing and effects are beginning to show the film's age, but it's not a detractor. If anything, they elevate the experience because it's so off the walls and unlike anything coming out today. In such a bleak and lifeless setting, Dredd manages to have so much style and personality, you kind of can't help but love it. It's a film that's grown on me every day since I first watched it.
Your assessment's now over.
It's very different from every other Garland movie, in part thanks to the chaos of making it. It's a testament to his capability that even before directing any films, he was able to step in and deliver an exciting, engaging, well-written action film. Dredd threw Garland in the directing waters, and as it turned out, he was pretty good at swimming. Number 7. Civil War. In many ways, Civil War feels like Garland's redemption on the heels of men's mixed reception.
That's what I'm talking about.
This is the film that brought him back into mainstream attention, and even with the divisive discourse surrounding it, I see that as a win.
Me too.
The best place for me to begin is with the cast, notably Kirsten Dunst and Kaylee Spaney. Their performances are the reason I keep coming back to Civil War. Garland seems far less interested in American political discourse than he is about the self-destructive, polarizing nature of political journalism.
We record so other people ask. Want to be a journalist? That's the job.
Civil War follows a team of rogue journalists in a not-so-distant American future. Their mission is to interview the president in the midst of a raging conflict between the federal government and the secessionist Western forces. Lee, as the seasoned pro, involuntarily ushers Jesse into a world where getting the perfect shot means everything.
Would you photograph that moment if I got shot?
What do you think?
This consuming mindset transforms the conflict itself, with all its violence and inhumanity, into a desensitized landscape to be harvested for images. For the photographers, it doesn't matter who wins, because the existence of conflict enables them to keep chasing a photo for the front page.
I need a quote.
Of the 5 films Garland has directed, I think this is his best shot. It would be wrong not to mention the DP, Rob Hardy, who has filmed almost all of Garland's films. He's truly a master of wielding the camera. The lighting and color, the anamorphic lenses, the handheld shots, it all feels so intentional and methodical. It's hard not to find beauty in it, especially when paired with an incredible score. Number 6. 28 Days Later. 28 Days Later approached the zombie genre from a new angle.
Staying alive's as good as it gets.
Rather than the methodical, undead depictions of the past, Garland imagined an all-consuming viral infection, turning civilians into convulsive, frenetic monsters. Our introduction to the main character, Jim, played by Cillian Murphy, is one of the most iconic sequences Danny Boyle has put to film. Waking from a coma, Jim finds himself in a very different London than the one he remembers.
And then I wake up today in hospital. I wake up and I'm hallucinating, or what's your name?
It's a barren metropolis, abandoned and left in complete disarray. The distant, wide shots of Jim as a teal blur on the screen convey a resounding isolation, and in its own way, it's quite beautiful. The spastic editing and sound design of the zombies is very unsettling and creates suffocating tension. It's a perfect match for Boyle's erratic filmmaking tendencies. For the rest of the film, the small group of survivors search for respite, only to discover that even in a zombie apocalypse,
this is what I've seen in the 4 weeks since infection. People killing people.
having hardly overlapped on the beach, this was Garland and Boyle's first real project together, the beginning of one of the most enduring director-writer collaborations in modern cinema.
That was longer than a heartbeat.
28 Days Later is a grungy, experimental, and exhilarating addition to the zombie genre, and laid the foundation for what's shaping up to be an inspired sequel trilogy. Speaking of which, number 5, 28 Years Later. Glossing over 28 weeks later, we're moving straight into 28 years. Released over 2 decades after the first film, Garland and Boyle returned to the infected English countryside. The film is set in an isolated island colony, and their regressive society established to live and thrive in the zombie-infested lands.
No one is permitted to go and find you.
Spike is a young boy of 12 who crosses to the mainland with his father to get his first kill.
Go on, just keep going.
The culmination of his training and his initiation into manhood. Things don't go as smoothly as planned, but after this, the zombie horror slides to the background, giving way to an emotionally rich plot of familial trauma, coming of age, and a son's unrelenting love for his mother.
You love your mother.
I love her.
And I know you love Spike.
So much.
These nuances layered over the zombie genre really worked for me and elevate this film above the 2002 predecessor. The thing that I was most impressed with in this film is the world building. It's seldom that I watch a new movie and feel that the filmmakers took the burden on themselves to think through every minute detail. Watching interviews with Garland and Boyle, their passion for this world is clear and it's felt on screen.
They need to eat, they need to drink. What else are they doing? How are they behaving? When they hunt a deer, do they do it in a pack? If they do it in a pack, does a leader develop? What makes that one a leader in comparison to others? Are they all doing that? Some of them eating earthworms and beetles and berries.
Boyle's unorthodox editing ensures consistency in the experience, even as the technology has improved from the first film. The zombies are much more frightening this time around, and there's a logical evolution from the passing of time. Walking away from the film, I'm left feeling that I just experienced something vibrant, emotionally rich, unsettling, and beautiful. I'm very excited to see what Garland has written for the remaining 2 films, because 28 years later was excellent. Number 4. Annihilation. Annihilation follows a team of female scientists as they embark on a mission into the Shimmer, an otherworldly luminescent orb growing like a consuming cancer on the marshy Floridian coast. For 3 years, military teams have been sent in to diagnose and destroy it. In that time, only one man has ever returned. Lena's husband.
I don't know where it was or what it was.
Lena, an ex-military biology professor, is driven by her guilt and pain into the Shimmer, joining an equally flawed and self-destructive team. In the Shimmer, the laws of nature are refracted and warped. There's a beauty in the abnormalities they encounter, but as they journey deeper toward the lighthouse, cosmic dread festers. Things grow unnaturally, flowers don't abide by their flora, animals have impossible mutations, life seems to be compounding inward.
I think as she was dying, part of her mind became part of the creature that was killing her.
This leads to some incredible and truly terrifying visuals. Annihilation is often used to reference Lovecraftian horror, in the way it so effectively inflicts a fear that reaches beyond what we can conceive. Something intangible and unimaginable lurks just out of reach, inflicting existential fear.
It was changing everything. It was making something new.
The world Garland creates inside the Shimmer perfectly marries our known reality with the unexplainable. There's an ever-present fear that these people are completely out of their depth, naively navigating a world far more dangerous than they can imagine. The film is very well paced, building toward the most mind-bending, confounding final sequence that I've seen in sci-fi in a long time. At times I felt that the plot was a little predictable, but that might just be from a breakdown I watched like 6 years ago. Regardless, thanks to Garland's directing, paired with a standout performance by Natalie Portman and an insane score by returning collaborator Ben Salisbury, Annihilation is a singular, beautiful, and genuinely frightening cosmic thriller. Garland's most recent film secures the number 3 spot on this list. Warfare is a film unburdened by the need to conform to the norms of its genre. Instead of using fast-paced action sequences to propel the plot forward, or a dramatic score to dictate how we should feel, it presents itself as a collection of raw, fragmented memories, stitched together by the soldiers who fought in the encounter, in an effort to convey both the brutality of the Iraq War and the humanity within it. The film recounts the true story of Navy SEAL Platoon Alpha 1 as their outpost is attacked by Iraqi insurgents. Ray Mendoza, who co-wrote and directed the film alongside Garland, fought in the encounter himself. Every element strives for maximum realism. The result is not a diminished viewing experience, but the most gripping and immersive 95 minutes of your life. I'd argue that no other war film inserts you so completely into the chaos as if he were another soldier on the ground. A huge part of that immersion and the film's greatest strength is its sound design. In the calm before the storm, warfare takes its time, letting the stillness slowly boil. The dialogue feels effortlessly natural, moving from military jargon
We're gonna collapse to the first deck, Casavac Elliott. Break it down, let's get ready to move.
to personal quips,
That's that new guy energy.
and then into silence. Like Hitchcock's Bomb, we know a storm is brewing, we're just waiting for the rain to fall. Cinematically, the film could manufacture tension with a swelling score and flashy editing, but that would only create distance, constantly reminding us that we're watching a movie. Instead, retelling the events of war as faithfully as possible instills implicit tension, creating a maximally immersive and visceral experience. Whether it's the distant approach of the Bradleys and the subconscious fear that sound alone creates, the screams of agony from lost limbs, or the muffled gunshots heard through a dazed, fractured consciousness, the soundscape tells you what it really felt like. The vast destruction and brutality of war is packaged within a one-off, seemingly inconsequential skirmish in the broader narrative of the Iraq War. You walk away from this film asking yourself what it's all for. I'm almost surprised myself that in a list full of incredible movies, Sunshine finds itself at number 2. I'm not normally drawn to space films. Familiar tropes can become repetitive, and they often feel like inferior amalgamations of the great sci-fi films, in which case I'd prefer watching 2001: A Space Odyssey or Alien instead. But every so often, a film comes around that's so well executed, bringing new ideas to a familiar vacuous landscape, that it completely blows me away. Sunshine follows the crew of the Icarus II on their mission to prevent the heat death of humanity.
So if you wake up one morning and it's a particularly beautiful day, you'll know we made it.
The plan is to detonate a nuclear bomb the size of Manhattan in the sun, thus creating a new star within the old and restoring life to mankind.
Every time I shut my eyes, it's always the same.
Through his screenplay, Garland poses questions about God and human existence intertwined in a captivating sci-fi narrative. Amidst the tension and fear, there's a breathtaking beauty to Sunshine. The film strikes a perfect godlike balance of reverence for the beautiful yet all-consuming flame of the sun. There's a profound spectrum of spirituality to pragmatism that's presented through the 8 crew members. On the one end of the spectrum, you have the psychologist, Searle, and we see how his obsession with the light devolves into religious self-annihilation. Like a moth to the flame, his lust for the light consumes him.
The total light envelops you. It becomes you.
And on the other end, you have Mace, with his logical willingness to do whatever is necessary for the mission, for the good of mankind.
I don't know how, just do it. Just do it.
Copy, mate.
In the center, between Searle and Mace, lies Cillian Murphy's character, Kappa. Kappa is willing to sacrifice himself for the mission, but he does so without fear, and almost an expectant desire to witness the beauty at the end.
A new star born out of a dying one. I think it'll be beautiful. I'm not scared.
The remainder of the ensemble fills in the gaps, and their performances make this film something special.
You're saying you need my vote. I'm saying you can't have it.
For a film made in 2007, the effects are truly impressive. Adding to the visuals is an incredible score by John Murphy and Underworld. In the current landscape of cinematic, heart-pounding, ever-building Hans Zimmer scores, Sunshine stands out. There's a piercing, emotional resonance to it that makes the film to me. The electronic dissonance seems to cry out in nostalgic waves, reminding you how small you are, yet how far you've come. The void of space becomes sentimental and pure in a way, and it's beautiful. By the third act, the film takes an unexpected and divisive turn. I won't get into those details, but I enjoyed it. I think the conclusion amplifies the themes presented earlier in the film, elevating a classic horror trope into something much more thought-provoking. And finally, in first place, is the $9 million sci-fi masterpiece, Ex Machina. This film continues to blow me away every time I watch it. It's the purest, least restrictive example of Garland's filmmaking ability. It was his idea, his screenplay, and his final vision come to life on screen. Garland's best work emerges from close collaboration with friends and colleagues in an environment where he retains full creative control. Caleb, a programmer for Blue Book, is randomly selected by the company's billionaire founder to be flown out to his estate for an undisclosed purpose.
I think I need a lawyer.
It's standard.
It doesn't feel very standard.
Okay, it's not standard.
Caleb soon learns that he's not the only guest staying in the subterranean halls of Nathan's remote lab. He doesn't know it yet, but she's soon going to change his life. Meet Ava.
Hello.
Hi.
With the task of performing an elevated Turing test of sorts, Caleb attempts to determine if Ava's intelligence is simulated, a byproduct of lines of code and regurgitation, or if it's true autonomous consciousness.
Yeah, it feels like testing a chess computer by only playing chess.
How else do you test a chess computer?
As he studies her, Ava too studies Caleb.
You have to help me.
I'm going to.
Ex Machina is an intelligent film that calls the audience to be the same. It asks far more questions than it answers, intentionally leaving gaps for your own experience to write in. It destabilizes you, manipulating your trust, pushing you toward false dependencies to see how you'll respond when the final sequence plays out. When the elevator goes up for the last time, Garland asks us who we side with, before expanding the question in the end to ask what it means to be human. These are the questions that I love to explore in film, as they facilitate an ongoing discussion with the art form as it unfolds. I find Garland's movies so compelling because he rewards your participation.
I think I make films really for only one kind of person, which are people who are interested in stepping forwards to the narrative. If you don't step forwards, you'll get like a quarter of the thing, because a huge proportion of it is provided by the viewer. It is an absolute 50-50 participation between the viewer and the group of people that made it.
I've probably seen Ex Machina 10 times, and I notice new details constantly. And I imagine that won't change, because good movies change with you, revealing new ideas and interpretations as time goes by. Ex Machina is a meditative, introspective drama, but also a heart-pounding, gripping sci-fi thriller. What Garland does best. It's as unsettling as it is beautiful, and it secured its spot at #1 in my ranking. Looking to the near future, Garland is writing the final installment of the 28 Years Later trilogy, with Danny Boyle returning to direct.
So it's a trilogy, and we knew that was a big risk, and we knew we might never get to complete it. Weirdly, Sunshine, a film we worked on years and years ago, was sort of a trilogy that is not a trilogy because 2 of them weren't made. At least with this one, 2 of them have got made, so we're improving.
But what I'm particularly interested in is the Elden Ring film adaptation, which Garland is set to write and direct. Let me know how you guys would rank Garland's films in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.